So we're here to solve this Kakuro by Salih Alan called T-up. You'll see it's got vertical symmetry and these T-shapes in the center. I think that's a part of the intended logical theme, and we'll see how the solve actually flows. That may also be part of it. One thing I see at the start, this 4 coming across gives me a 4-6, but this 35 is very constraining. I've got a 9-8 coming down here, and the 6 isn't going to work in the bottom position, so mark some of these cells. 6 going in here puts just a 1, 2, 4 coming left going across. And these values, particularly in the 16 coming down, should be giving you a sense of min-max requirements. Actually, the 4, the 3, and the 9 are the only way that works, and those are taking the max in all cells from what remain. And my guess is even coming down through here, where this 3 is getting me to 18, 1 or 2 gives me down now behind a 17 or 16. So regardless of what that is, this is a 7. One of these is 7 or 8, but what we'll actually see is this has to be 7, and then putting that in, 2 with 1, this being a 5, I now have 16 to go, which is 9 and 7. This is 6, 8, 6, 8, but the 10 needs to have enough space, so 7 is the largest value you could ever have taken. Got 1, 3 left behind going vertically and 1, 2 going across. Ones they sell is in common. Got a 5 here. Gives 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2 is going to make this into a 24 or 23, so 987 or 986. The smaller of those values is always going to go in this 10 going across with a 1 and with a 2 or 3. So we've got some of these constraints on these cells, and 9, 8 for sure are in those spots, and we'll see if that helps us make headway. Let's keep coming across here. Right now we've got 7 and 9, so the only digits remaining for this 15 coming down are 6 and 8, which will hit with a 7, 9. But let's also think about this being a 7-cell group, and the 7-cell group is missing a sum of 12. And that sum of 12 is not 9 with 3, it's not 7 with 5, and that means it must be 8 and 4 are missing. And if 8 and 4 are missing in the row, we can put in 6, 9. The remaining digits in this row are 1, 2, 3, 5, and that's a lot to note into the grid, but maybe something we'll just put in because it may help us. One thing that I'm seeing is that we've got a max here that's a value of 4 coming off this 5 clue, and so this 11 down is pretty hard to reach once we know that this is pinned as 5 as maximum, and actually the max of all the cells that I'm seeing, 5 and 4 and 2, is exactly 12. So again, we've got a min-max requirement that's finishing out that space. 1 with 2 and 3 to go is going to leave behind a 7 or 8, and only the 8, 6 option here is valid. So we've got another cancellation by doing that. Get 8, 2, 1, puts in the 7 for sure, puts in a 7 here. We've got 1, 2, 4, with a 4 not going in this cell. This 1, 3 coming down is going to leave behind 24 or 22. 22 has a minimum value of 5, so this is 5 or 6 coming up. It can't be larger than that. If whichever of 5 or 6 that is, that actually means this must be a 3, and so this must be 22, and at least behind 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. A 9 can't go in the cell. There's always a 9 regardless of how it is. 9 and 8 and 5, or 9 and 7 and 6 are what add up to 22. So we put the 9 in here, that puts this 7, puts in this 9, puts in a 4. We've got a 9, 8 over on this side to think about. If this is an 8, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 remaining, and if it's a 7, it's going to be 1, 2, 4 remaining, so this is a 2, 3. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are probably not as helpful as looking straight back here. If this is a 2, it puts in another 7, that's no good. If it's a 3, puts in a 6, that looks good. A 3 required the sum across to be 1, 2, 3 with an 8. So that's now actually easily forced. That makes this be a 5. So 1 and 3 are what are left. That puts 2, 6, puts in 4, puts in 5. We'll come back to this in a second, but for sure we have a 1 or 2 left in the space, and that gives a 5 or 6. The 6 is already there, so 6 with 1 with 5. It's a good start for this section. Let's finish this corner before we move too far away. 9, 7, 6 are in there, and the remaining sum is going to have to come up to be 9, so we've got 22 with 9 to go. So 1 with 8 looks okay, 2 with 7 is not, 3 with 6 is not, and 4, 5 is there. So 1, 4, 5, 8 are the limits in these cells. And you should recognize that 8 is far too large, even 5 is far too large for what's left over. If this is 9, we need one with 3, and there's no 3 in the column. So of the values that are legitimate and remain, 8 is the only one that can work based on the sum of values. 4, 1, 2, 5 is the finish of that space. So let's think back then about this long 7-cell row. We've been looking a lot at these 7 cells and making progress by considering them. This is missing 13, and that's missing 13 and 2 digits. The 13s and 2 digits can be 9 and 4. That's still a valid thing to miss. 8 with 5, the 5's already in the grid, and 7 with 6, the 7's in the grid. So 9 and 4 are missing in this row, and for sure that means the 8 is below, the 9 is here. 9 and 4 missing means we have 1, 2, 3, 6 to place. The value for this clue 15 up needs to have a large neck near it. The 6 is the largest that we can actually still use, and that's there for sure. Coming over to this spot, we've got a 6 that's leaving behind 19. If we take a 1, that could be okay. Sorry, can't be okay, but the 2 or 3 might work. The 2 would leave behind 986, and the 3 would leave behind 976. So we have a case where these are the values for those cells. We've got a few more places we might be able to make some headway. I think the limitations of this 15 coming down, which are going to need to have some big digits, may be part of it, particularly this coming across. We also have this 12 coming down that's going to have a maximum sum of a 6 in the cell, but notice that we need to get something pretty large to go across. So this can go only as large as 4 to give values like this, to give values like this. This 9 could be 1 with 6, or 2 with 5, or 3 with 4. It's got a lot of flexibility still. I think one of the spots that's going to be key is it's actually looking and this value here coming down. If this is a 1 down below, we've got 16 left. 16 would be 9 with 7, but 9 with 7 doesn't work because this clue doesn't work. So the largest value that can be in this space is an 8, and that means with a max of like 7 plus 8 being 15, we have to put the 2 in and the 1 in. With this 1 here, this can no longer be an 8, so this is 7 with 2, this is 8, this is 6, this is really using maxes. We've got 23 in, we've got 10 more to go. That has to be 3 and 7 with the remaining values that we've got. And in putting in a 3, we would get a 9 here. With a 7, we get a 5. 5 would put another 5. That's no good. So this is 9, 3, 7, 1 of above. 2 and 4 are the remaining values for the space. That finishes as 3 here, this 1 here, this 3 here. That means that this 12 is 2 remaining with 6, and 2 has to then be the top. 6 is there. We've got 8 and 7. So that's limiting a lot of these spaces. We now, with this 3 placed for sure, know that 9, 7 is what's coming down here, and so we'll get that into the grid. We've got 22 coming across with 10 more to go. That's 2, 8 with the digits that are left, but this 8 can't go on the right, so 2 with 8, 1 with 2 up above, 5 and 6, and we finish the puzzle. So a lot of a good Kakuro workout, not necessarily too hard in too many places. If you saw the ways we took the T-shapes, worked up through the grid, and then really took what was right above, I guess what's up, T up, these 7-cell groups that had missing digits, identifying 8 and 4 missing in this row, and eventually identifying 9 and 4 missing in this row, were steps that really broke into the sections, particularly where these 15 clues, you can see the same 15 clue used, they ended up being a max-min intersection point by the time we placed digits around them. So those are the kinds of constraints to use to solve this Kakuro. Hope you enjoyed the video, learned something about the style, and we'll see you again soon.